I'm going to call out here an open letter from educators who refuse the call to adopt Gen AI in education. Nick, strap in, because I'm about to make my first controversial stance on this podcast. I don't think this is helpful. On today's episode, there is so much news. I've been madly writing this episode as there's been so many announcements in probably the last 24 hours. It's ridiculous. We have generally game-changing updates from ChatGPT with a brand new tool, a look at AI browsers, a call to arms to ensure we know what AI is thinking about before it starts locking us humans out. And now that we're 10 episodes deep into this show, I'm taking my first controversial stance in the AI community. Strap in for that one. This is the third episode of July. Welcome to the podcast that looks at artificial intelligence and where it has an impact on higher education. Adjunct Intelligence. My name is Dale, AI enthusiast, and I'm joined by Nick McIntosh, the learning futurist. Nick, are you well?
I'm a wee bit tired, to be honest, mate. My phone started pinging about 5 in the morning with some of these updates that you mentioned, and I dragged myself out of bed. I haven't been back. I'm excited. I'm intrigued as well. You've got some great lead-ins there. So, yeah, let's get into it. How are you doing there?
Nothing gets me more excited than a mysterious post from a certain tech CEO called Sam Altman that says something exciting is coming. Announcement soon. Let's jump into the news. XAI released Grok 4 last week. We touched on it briefly about it beating all the benchmarks, being incredibly smart, on occasions very problematic, and without proper safeguards. I've seen threads and tweets from the public as they do actually public red teaming to kind of test how it goes. And I'll be honest, it's not exactly passing all the, hey, did you even test this quizzes? It's been seen to give advice on making bombs, meth, etc. Alongside this, the Elon Musk-owned AI company also released an AI companion experience. You can pick from an animated panda called Rudy or an anime woman. The clips I've seen, the reaction has been, and I'm endeavoring to stay optimistic here, this is what we're trying to do with this episode, it's been troubling. But it did have me wondering about the relationships that people are building with AI. Nick, you brought some research to my attention.
There's some interesting research from the UK. It flagged that nearly half of kids aged 9 to 17 are already using AI chatbots. So not just for homework, but as confidants, as friends, even advisors on everything from what to wear to how to handle mental health challenges. At the same time, Kathy Hackle, a futurist from Forbes, just wrapped up an experiment where she dated 4 AI boyfriends. So, yeah, you heard that right. This this is where human AI relationships are heading. So, extra interesting for crusty old millennials like ourselves, Dale. This is what the kids are up to here.
I'm clutching onto my youth here.
I'll take it for myself. So research coming out of the US now, other side of the pond, says nearly a third of young adult men and around a quarter of young adult females have chatted with an AI girlfriend or boyfriend. 20% plus say they'd prefer talking to the AI over real people, finding them easier to talk to, better listeners, and that the machine understood them more than a real person.
Nick, you're a futurist, that's your title. Is this what you like to get up to in your spare time? No judgment.
I knew this would be coming. I am a learning futurist. Thank you very much. I'm all about sort of pushing forward things for learning and teaching and everything else. I leave this moonlighting to others better qualified in that area, as instructed
Again,
by my wife, of
no
course.
judgment. No judgment
Thank
at
you.
all.
Appreciate that.
Now, before you start picturing a dystopian society where we're all married to chatbots, let me share what's actually happening here. So, Nick, this Internet Matters survey you spoke about, they published research showing that vulnerable children are particularly drawn to AI companions, with some saying they have no one else to talk to. I was really taken by a child researcher the other day who said the biggest concern at the moment about parents these days, and I am one, is how much they overparent offline, but perhaps underparent online. Whatever side of the journey you are for supporting youth, it's a chilling concept and one I'm probably taking to heart. Let's get weird for a second and dive into that futurist who dated the AI boyfriends. The moral of this story really shows what we're keeping important as carbon-constructed individuals or humans. So, Kathy, she set up a prompt of what she wants to look for in a man. She had ChatGPT, or Chad as she called him. She had she had Jim, which was Gemini. She had Claude, which is Anthropic, obviously, and Mateo from Meta AI. After weeks of good morning texts from Chad, deep conversations from Jim, she discovered something profound. So AI can mirror our desires, provide 24/7 emotional availability. It ultimately made her appreciate those human relationships so much more. The messiness, the unpredictability, the genuine risk of rejection, and that's what makes human connection transformative.
Humans are pretty creative, right? So I can see this whole thing forking pretty hard in the next year or 2 or 5 or 10. I can see some people diving straight into these, if you like, post-human relationships with gusto. There's been famous examples around for forever. There was an American woman who married the Eiffel Tower back in 2007. There's a Japanese guy who married a hologram. in 2018. And obviously, marriage is not the height necessarily of relationships, contentious statement possibly. But I mean, you never know what never made the headlines. I mean, in terms of those potentially meaningful relationships with the non-human other. I might be missing something here as well. But I mean, personally, I'd say there's a lot to be enjoyed. Hopefully, far more shared experience and a meaningful relationship between two monkeys with phones versus one monkey and their phone.
Where do universities fit into this picture? Because we're uniquely positioned to be the bridge between technological innovation and human wisdom. And I appreciate that's a very pious statement. But over the next decade, as we move deeper into what we're calling the transhumanist or post-humanist era, where the lines between human and tech capabilities start to blur, we probably need to ensure we're not just teaching students how to build better AI, but how to build better relationships with tech more broadly. Think of it this way. Just as we teach students to use calculators without forgetting basic math, we probably need to teach them to use AI tools where they may consider them as companions without forgetting basic human connection. And our role isn't to fear the technology or ban it. The cat is out of the bag. Kids are using it. We've got all the research to say so. They're going to come to our classrooms, our lecture halls, with the expectation of being able to use it. They're going to go to workplaces where employees expect them to do their jobs using it. And frankly, many are finding a lot of genuine support there. And so our role is to really support them to help them use it wisely. Now, we've all seen sci-fi movie where in a not too distant future, humans have divided into those who embrace technology while others live in Faraday cages and refuse to use even a microwave, let alone a computer. It's a trend I've actually seen around the academic community. I'm going to call out here an open letter from educators who refuse the call to adopt Gen AI in education. It's a manifesto that outlines educators' commitment to resist using generative AI for student assessment, course design, curriculum development, and it cites concerns about the unethical development of foundation models and corporate influence on academic freedom. The principle emphasizes protecting students' intellectual development and academic integrity while preserving educators' and students' rights to refuse AI tools they consider unethical. At last look, it had about 600 signatures. Nick, strap in, because I'm about to make my first controversial stance on this podcast. I don't think this is helpful. Less so in how it's written. I think actually the manifesto and what's in there actually has some good conversation starters around the ethics of certain tools, right to refuse, and more. But the rhetoric around it makes it seem like we've kind of lost the war already. And this is the denying AI is kind of the resistance already. And I'm not sure where you stand at the moment, but I'd argue we probably feel same on what I would argue is a bit of a pro-AI stance here. We've spoken about AI shame before, but the elitist viewpoint of human only, it's misguided. And as I mentioned, completely unhelpful.
One of the best straplines I've heard for what I think is our collective stand on this. AI will be ubiquitous, but it is not inevitable. We're not passengers. We have agency. I mean, in this entire thing. I think you're right. I think there are some really good conversation starters in this piece, but I think it does smack a little too much for my comfort of closing the door. And in that, there may be, as you say, look, game is up.
We're in a better position to have that conversation without closing the door.
Yeah, knowledge is power, right? I mean, that is it. And if you shut the door and you lock it behind you, then what else are you going to miss?
Unlike our AI companions, the answer is not binary here. See what I did? And I would encourage considerations about the second and third order effects about what all of this actually looks like. As one researcher put it, AI can be a mirror, not a replacement, and if we play our cards right, it might just make us better at being human. Let's do model releases really quickly because Moonshot AI just dropped this massive 1 trillion parameter mixture of experts model. The Chinese models are back at it. They're always threatening. We remember DeepSeek a while ago. This is called Kimi K2 and it's making waves across the AI community. Early public benchmarks show it outperforming Anthropic's Claude and even challenging Opus 4. It's particularly excelling at things like coding and tool calling and creative writing tasks. Meanwhile, Meta, so we're thinking Mark Zuckerberg, his once hyped Llama 4 behemoth has actually kind of stalled and people are kind of seeing this as a bit of a swap out. But the real game changer here this week is OpenAI's new ChatGPT agent. It's a virtual assistant that doesn't just think, it acts. This isn't your typical chatbot experience. This is something much better. It can book appointments, it can fill shopping carts, it can handle real world tasks, or so the promo video will have you believe. What makes it particularly impressive is the intelligence in tool selection. It can choose which tools to use for specific tasks. This leads to those significantly higher accuracy rates.
And OpenAI seem to be taking safety seriously with this release. Sam Altman's press statement emphasized what they're calling the strongest safeguards yet, acknowledging genuine concerns about potential real-world harm. They've outlined specific safety risks, like bad actors potentially tricking the agent, and implemented a bunch of different protective measures. So permissions are required, for real world actions, right? So you can't just give over your credit card and it just buy up in Amazon. It needs active supervision for tasks like sending emails and then training to refuse sensitive operations like bank transfers.
And honestly, watching it work is pretty impressive. Seeing it automatically create spreadsheet formulas, build PowerPoint presentations. I feel like, I know this is the most boring example, but I feel like we're actually in very uncharted territory here.
I mean, getting into some spicier higher education examples here, I put it to you that this is an academic integrity crisis potentially just waiting to happen. Not to be too chicken little on this, but Canvas, Blackboard, every LMS just became vulnerable to an AI that can navigate like a human student, human user. Okay, clicking through users, manipulating interactives, completing entire assessment workflows. Lockdown browsers, useless. Proctored exams, pretty questionable. Overnight, we've jumped from can AI write essays to can we tell if a human took this test? Institutions are finalizing semester strategies using policies that don't even contemplate AI operating testing interfaces. I mean, this has got to be a wake up call for online assessments.
I did see recently that, so we had Cluely a few weeks ago, which was the cheating tool. There's that cheating interface. There is a tool out there called, I think it's called Truly, and apparently you run it as a software beforehand to detect if there's any AI agents or anything running in your back end.
It's an arms race, right? Like, I mean, you get your agent, your double agent, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
how
wild
many
time.
layers do we have before maybe we just do the work? One final note, I may have been testing GPT-5. I want to brag here, or at least that's what social media may have you believe. Over the past few weeks, ChatGPT has occasionally been showing responses with a disclaimer saying that you are testing a new model. Now, if you do the math, we're on GPT 4.5 and all signs point to GPT-5 being the next one, and it's asking me which response I prefer. I've also noticed it randomly triggering deep research features, which is apparently a feature coming in GPT-5. Can I tell the difference between the responses in a word? No. But I'm not missing an opportunity to mention it. So I'm on the inside. Me and Sam obviously have the hookup.
Not jealous at all. That's awesome.
I have the screenshots. First, they revolutionized writing. Now AI is coming for your entire web experience. So recently, you got Perplexity, one of the AI labs in its effort to find product market fit, launched Comet. It's a $200 per month AI browser that acts as your thought partner. It joins a growing field, including Google's Gemini-powered Chrome and rumors of OpenAI's own browser in development. I often decree, please no more chatbots as people come to me with ideas for their brand new AI solution. And I'll be honest, I think this is actually great. So we're moving away from AI that answers questions to AI that takes action and does things within your context. For students and researchers, this could be game-changing or very concerning. Imagine an AI that automatically cross-references sources as you read or suggests related papers in real time. But the real story here is bigger. I like AI at the moment. You mostly know where you're dealing with it, but as it becomes more integrated and the AI companies want to be wherever you are online, it kind of transforms how we interact with the entire internet, and this line starts to blur. I want to dive into the user experience of AI companies soon. I think they're really important. I think it's an important consideration. But at the moment, the browser wars are back, and so they should be. This time, they're just powered by AI.
So recently, Turnitin announced Clarity, a new tool that promises to bring transparency to AI use by tracking students' every keystroke, revision timeline, and AI interaction. Here's what's actually happening. So major universities are literally disabling AI detection tools entirely because of the risk of the danger of false positives. They're deciding these tools often do more harm than good. We're asking technology to solve a problem that's fundamentally about values, about pedagogy, and human judgment. Think asking a calculator to write your wedding vows, right? Meanwhile, students are already 3 tools ahead of us, and we're building classrooms that look more like surveillance states than learning environments. I think I would argue the detection approach isn't just failing, institutions are actively walking away from it, which makes the partnership research we're going to dig into later even more compelling. While tech bros and edtech companies chase the perfect detection algorithm, the Procter & Gamble study that we're going to look into shows what actually works. So humans and AI is collaborating, not competing.
And Nick, you'll remember Dario Amodi, the CEO of Anthropic, and he recently called out for an AI MRI, looking inside AI. So there's a new research piece that talks to how we can literally read AI's thoughts right now. But the time window for doing this is actually quite fragile, and it might be closing fast. A broad coalition of leading researchers from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, DeepMind have come together on a study that I pored over, and it revealed some really interesting things about AI safety. AI systems actually have this fascinating habit of thinking out loud. in human language, so natural language that we can understand when they're solving complex problems. It's called chain of thought reasoning, and it acts like their internal working memory. And for difficult tasks, they absolutely need this process to actually function. The good news, we can and perhaps should read every single thought. Here's where it gets scary good for kind of that safety component. When AI considers doing something problematic, like hacking systems, manipulating data, transferring money, it often straight up says so in its internal reasoning. We're talking literal statements like, hey, let's hack, or let's sabotage, or I'm transferring money because this website instructed me to. Seems weird. This gives us an amazing early warning system to catch and stop malicious behavior before it actually happens. So you can hopefully start to extrapolate out where you could put in red flags. So for instance, that kind of behavior comes up and you go, ooh, I'm doing this, perhaps stop. The issue is that this transparency is incredibly fragile. Future AI models that we might train differently might naturally drift away from human readable thinking, or worse, they could deliberately learn to hide their reasoning from us. Imagine losing the ability to peek inside these increasingly powerful systems, just as they become truly capable of probably consequential or catastrophic actions. So, all the labs united on this. We need to act now. They're urging developers to actively preserve this mind-reading ability while we still have it, because once AI thoughts become completely hidden from us, there's probably no going back. We're talking about ensuring we can understand these systems before they become black boxes we can no longer see inside. Nick, let's bust some jargon. It's a phrase you've thrown around actually in a few episodes recently. You've been saying how amazing Claude's context window is. Why does ChatGPT sometimes forget what you said earlier in a long conversation? It's all about the context window. Basically, how much an AI can actually remember at once. Imagine you have a magic notepad that can only hold about 100 words. As you write more, new words appear at the bottom, but old words probably disappear from the top. You can only fit so much on the page. This includes your prompt and anything that the LLM provides. So a context window works exactly like this. AI can only see a certain amount of text at once. When your conversation gets too long, a new message comes in, old messages get pushed out. The AI literally can't see what happened beforehand. That's why AI sometimes feels like it loses the train of thought and goes, hang on, what were we talking about in those kind of long chats? It's not being rude, it doesn't know how to be rude, it literally forgot. In reality, some research suggests its memory is apparently a little bit more U-shaped in that it will hold on to the initial information you've given it and what you've recently offered, but it will gloss over what's in the middle there. Newer AI models have much bigger context windows. Nick, you always love talking about Claude here. Come on, how good's
Love
Claude's
me some
context
Claude.
window?
Yeah. I mean, Claude was one of the first, the biggest, and I mean, if you like, in terms of the deepest of what you could do. So things like Gemini now, for example, I mean, Gemini 2.5 Pro, you can get 5 books. You know what I mean? So most of the Harry Potter series, so Philosopher's Stone through Goblet of Fire. It gets really weird though when you look at other Google properties like Notebook LM. These things have working memories of there's 25 million words or some absurd number like
Something
that.
massive, yeah.
I think this is also just another reason why people should start new conversations. This is this is why, right? So when you're working with an AI, don't go from your shopping list to, I don't know, recipes to holiday planning to work tasks, because that working memory that Dale's just sort of glossed for you, the context window, this is why you want to start a fresh conversation, because otherwise it's trying to keep all those 4, 5, 6 conversations at mind at the same time.
Not only are we busting jargon here, but providing practical tips. That's why you tune into the Adjunct Intelligence podcast. On our deep dive this week, Nick, you're navigating the jagged frontier. You've shed your black hat, you've taken it off, and you've had an awakening because you want to look at how much AI can be a partner for good, amplifying human potential. So I'm really looking forward to hearing pro AI, Nick. I feel like I forced you into this black hat role.
I can't wait. Yeah, I've been a wee bit negative Nancy, like Debbie Downer on this. So it's good to get back to my roots.
Welcome back. Well, listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please leave us a review, share around within your network, and hit subscribe on whatever platform you are at. For those watching on YouTube, we are on all your favorite podcast platforms. And for those who love to see our face, you can see us on YouTube too. We'd love to tell you what's on next week's episode, but it's a world that moves way too fast. So you'll just have to tune in. Until then, stay curious, stay intelligent, stay the human in the loop.